Among the Inuit of Arctic Canada, until the early 20th century, deceased infants were sometimes preserved in ice caves as a mourning ritual. Wrapped in furs, they were placed in natural freezers, their tiny bodies frozen to honor their brief lives. Elders believed this kept spirits close, allowing mothers to visit. Archaeological finds in Nunavut show mummified infants with preserved skin, some with milk-in stomachs, indicating recent feeding. The practice, fading with Christian influence, reflected harsh survival conditions, where burial was impractical. Visitors to these sites, now rare, describe the haunting sight of tiny frozen forms. Forensic studies show no violence, only natural deaths. This ritual, blending love with icy preservation, evokes a chilling tenderness where death was paused in frost. These frozen babies locked in eternal cold. In Mexico's pre-Hispanic Mixtec culture, 900 to 1500 CE, death puppets were crafted from human bones and wood for funerary rituals. Skulls or femurs, often from revered ancestors, were articulated with joints, dressed in cloth, and manipulated in dances to honor the dead. Found in Oaxaca's tombs, these puppets show polished bones with drill holes for strings. Used in ceremonies, they mimicked life, their clattering movements eerie. Archaeological evidence suggests some bones were from sacrificed captives, adding a layer of violence. Displayed in Mexico's regional museums, they fascinate yet horrify, their skeletal forms animated by human hands. The practice, blending reverence with macabre theater, reflects a culture where death was performative, turning bones into actors. These puppets, with their grim mobility, evoke a chilling intimacy with mortality. In medieval Europe, particularly Spain, tongues of martyred saints were preserved as relics, believed to hold divine power. From the 11th to 15th centuries, tongues of figures like Saint Anthony of Padua were cut post-mortem, dried, or encased in reliquaries. Displayed in churches like Lisbon's Say Cathedral, they drew pilgrims seeking miracles. The preservation, using salt or wax, left tongues shriveled but intact, their texture like leather. Some show cut marks from hasty removal. The practice, tied to saints' preaching power, faded with Reformation critiques but left relics in museums. Their eerie presence, small yet human, unsettles viewers, blending devotion with gore. These tongues, preserved for centuries, embody a macabre faith where body parts became holy, their silent forms a chilling testament to a time when death's fragments were revered. In Poland's Czermna, the Skull Chapel, built in 1776, is lined with 3,000 skulls and bones from war and plague victims. Priest Wacław Tomaszek collected remains from mass graves, arranging them into walls, crosses, and altars, with 21,000 more in the crypt. The bones, cleaned and bleached, create a grim mosaic, some with musket holes or disease marks. The chapel, meant to honor the dead and remind visitors of mortality, smells of dust and age. Visitors report chills at the skeletal decor, its silence deafening. Archaeological studies confirm bones from the 30 Years' War, their chaotic arrangement reflecting mass death. This macabre sanctuary, blending reverence with horror, turns human remains into sacred art where death surrounds worshippers. Its bone-laden walls, a chilling monument to war's toll. In Thailand's Wat Phai Ngurn, a 20th century monk, Luang Pho Dang, preserved stillborn fetuses as amulets, believed to bring luck or protection. The fetuses, embalmed with herbal oils, were dried and encased in glass, some adorned with gold leaf, kept in temples or homes. They were revered as Kuman Thong, or golden children, thought to house spirits. The practice, rooted in animist beliefs, shocked authorities, leading to restrictions in the 1970s. Forensic analysis shows fetuses died naturally, their tiny forms preserved with eerie detail, fingers curled, eyes closed. Displayed in Bangkok's Forensic Museum, they evoke horror and pity. This tradition, blending spirituality with death's smallest victims, transforms tragedy into talismans, yet their lifelike preservation unsettles, a macabre reminder of a culture's attempt to find power in loss, where even the unborn became sacred relics of mortality. During the 14th century Black Death, some European communities played a choking game to ward off plague spirits. Participants, often children, were briefly strangled with ropes or cloths in rituals believed to expel evil. Contemporary accounts describe deaths from overzealous choking, leaving bodies with bruised necks. Graves from the period, like those in London, show adolescents with hyoid bone fractures, suggesting the practice's lethality. Rooted in superstition, it reflected desperation as plague decimated populations. The game, fading by the 15th century, left a grim legacy of misguided survival tactics. Excavations reveal its toll, with skeletal remains bearing choke marks. This macabre ritual, blending fear with fatal play, highlights a time when death's shadow drove communities to harm their own. In Papua New Guinea's Sepik River region, until the 20th century, tribes crafted masks from enemy skulls for rituals. After headhunting, skulls were cleaned, decorated with shells and clay, and worn in dances to harness the deceased's power. The process involved boiling heads to remove flesh, leaving grinning skulls adorned with eerie designs. Archaeological finds show skulls with drilled holes for attachment, some stained with ochre. The practice, banned in the 1930s, was both trophy and spiritual act, believing the skull held the enemy's spirit. Museums like Canberra's National Gallery display these masks, their human origins unsettling. The masks, blending art with death, evoke a culture where violence was sacred, turning enemies into ritual objects. Their haunting presence, with hollow eyes and crafted features, underscores a chilling intimacy with death. In the 19th century, Arctic exploration left ghost ships trapped in ice, their crews frozen in place. Ships like the HMS Terror, found in 2016, contained bodies preserved by cold, some at their posts clutching tools or diaries. The Franklin Expedition, 1845, left 129 men dead, their mummified remains showing scurvy and cannibalism marks. Ice preserved clothing and flesh, creating eerie tableau of death mid-task. Excavations reveal bones with cut marks, suggesting desperate survival attempts. The ships, now underwater museums, draw divers who describe the haunting sight of frozen corpses in icy cabins. The Arctic's cold turned these vessels into time capsules, where death was suspended in frost. These ghost ships, with their silent, preserved crews, embody exploration's grim cost. Their frozen remains a chilling reminder of nature's power to claim lives and lock them in an eternal, icy grave. In 19th century Italy, anatomists like Clemente Susini created wax models of dissected corpses for medical study. Now displayed in Florence's La Specola Museum, crafted from real bodies, these anatomical Venuses show organs, muscles, and veins with uncanny detail, their faces serene despite being flayed. Made by pouring wax over corpses, they preserve death's anatomy in lifelike poses, some with glass eyes staring blankly. Used to train doctors, they also drew public crowds, blending education with morbid fascination. Some models show fetuses or disease-ravaged organs, their realism unsettling. The process, requiring fresh cadavers, was gruesome, with wax capturing every vein. These figures, both art and science, evoke a chilling beauty, where death becomes a permanent exhibit. Their lifelike yet lifeless forms, preserved for centuries, blur the line between human and object. In ancient Ur, modern Iraq, around 2500 BCE, royal tombs contained death pits with dozens of sacrificed retainers. Excavations by Leonard Woolley in the 1920s revealed skeletons, mostly female, arranged in rows, their skulls often crushed, suggesting poisoning or blunt trauma. Adorned with jewelry, they were likely killed to serve kings in the afterlife. The pits, filled with chariots and weapons, show a culture where death was a grand, violent spectacle. Bones show signs of heat exposure, possibly from post-mortem rituals. The orderly yet brutal arrangement, with bodies packed tightly, evokes a chilling efficiency. Displayed in London's British Museum, artifacts from Ur haunt viewers with their silent testimony to mass killing. These pits, blending devotion with slaughter, highlight a society where death was a collective journey. The Aztecs crafted death whistles from clay, shaped like skulls or animals, used in rituals around 1250 to 1500 CE. When blown, they produced a shrill, scream-like sound, mimicking a dying person's cry. Used in human sacrifice ceremonies, they accompanied victims to the altar, believed to guide souls or appease gods. Archaeological finds in Tlatelolco show whistles buried with decapitated remains, some stained with blood. Modern tests reveal their sound, audible over a mile. Created terror during rituals. Displayed in Mexico's National Anthropology Museum, these artifacts, with their grim acoustic power, unsettle listeners. The whistles, blending art with death's terror, evoke the Aztecs' ritualistic violence, where sound itself became a harbinger of mortality. Their haunting wail, preserved across centuries, remains a chilling echo of a culture where death was orchestrated with eerie precision. In 18th century Hungary, peasants preserved severed hands of executed criminals or revered figures as talismans. Believed to hold magical powers, these hands were dried or smoked, often kept in homes to ward off evil or heal ailments. Some, found in archaeological sites, show knife marks from ritual severing, with bones polished by handling. The practice, tied to folklore, was banned by the church but persisted in rural areas. Museums like Budapest's Ethnographic Museum display these hands, their shriveled skin and curled fingers evoking unease. Contemporary accounts describe them hung above doorways, their presence both protective and grim. This macabre custom, blending superstition with death, turned body parts into sacred objects, yet their eerie preservation, detached yet human. During the 13th century Mongol conquests, massacres left thousands dead, their bodies dumped in pits to intimidate survivors. In cities like Bukhara, archaeologists found pits with tangled skeletons, some with severed heads or arrow wounds, reflecting brutal executions. The Mongols, led by Genghis Khan, used these pits to dispose of enemies efficiently, often leaving them unburied to rot. The stench, described in contemporary accounts, drew scavengers, creating grim scenes of decay. Excavations in Central Asia reveal pits with up to 100 bodies, some showing signs of burning to curb disease. The sheer scale, millions killed across campaigns, made these pits a hallmark of Mongol terror. Their legacy, unearthed centuries later, evokes horror at death's industrial scale, where human remains became tools of conquest. In Bolivia's La Paz, during the Natitas festival, families display decorated skulls of relatives believed to grant blessings. Since pre-Columbian times, skulls are exhumed, adorned with flowers, sunglasses, or paint, and paraded on November 8th. Some are kept in homes, offered cigarettes or coca leaves to appease spirits. The practice, blending Andean and Catholic beliefs, sees skulls as protectors, but their eerie presence, grinning with painted designs, unsettles outsiders. Archaeological evidence shows some skulls date to the 16th century with wear from handling. The festival, still vibrant, draws thousands, with skulls displayed in cemeteries or glass cases. This macabre tradition, where death becomes a festive dialogue, transforms bones into cherished relics, yet the sight of grinning, decorated skulls evokes a chilling intimacy with mortality. Spinalonga, a Greek island, was a leper colony from 1903 to 1957, where patients were exiled to die. Mass graves uncovered in the 2000s reveal bodies buried in shallow pits, often without coffins, their bones showing leprosy's ravages, eroded fingers, and faces. Patients isolated from society faced slow deaths, their remains piled haphazardly due to limited space. Some graves contained personal items like rosaries, hinting at lost identities. The island, now a tourist site, evokes dread with its crumbling hospital and unmarked graves. Forensic analysis shows many died from secondary infections, not leprosy itself. The desolate landscape, dotted with skeletal remains, tells a story of abandonment and suffering. Spinalonga's graves, a testament to medical and social cruelty, linger as a chilling reminder of death's isolation. In Portugal's Alentejo region, the Capela dos Ossos in Évora, built in the 16th century, is lined with bones and skulls of over 5,000 monks and locals. Franciscan monks created this chapel of bones to remind worshippers of mortality, with inscriptions like, "We bones, here, for yours, we wait." Femurs and skulls form walls, cemented in eerie patterns, while two mummified bodies hang from chains, one a child. The chapel, still used for meditation, smells of damp stone and decay. Archaeological studies show bones were exhumed from nearby cemeteries, some bearing plague marks. Visitors report unease at the skeletal decor, its message of death's inevitability starkly clear. This macabre chapel, blending spirituality with horror, transforms human remains into a grim sermon where the dead adorn sacred spaces. In the Andes, Inca child sacrifices, known as capacocha, from the 15th century left mummified remains on high peaks like Lula-Ilico. The extreme cold and dry air preserved bodies, including feet, with skin and nails intact. Children chosen for purity were drugged with coca and alcohol, then left to freeze as offerings to gods. The Lula-Ilico maiden, found in 1999, had perfectly preserved feet, showing calluses from ritual treks. Forensic analysis reveals death by hypothermia, with some showing signs of head trauma. Displayed in Argentina's MAAM Museum, these remains, especially the feet, captivate with their lifelike detail, yet horrify with their tragic context. The preservation, a natural freezer, creates a chilling snapshot of sacrifice, where small feet, frozen in time, tell a story of devotion and death. In the Philippines' Sagada region, the Igorot people practice a burial ritual where coffins are hung on cliffs or cave walls, a tradition dating back over 2,000 years. Bodies are placed in small wooden coffins, often fetal positioned, and suspended high above ground to protect them from scavengers and bring them closer to ancestral spirits. The coffins, weathered by time, sometimes fall, spilling bones below. The practice, still active among some families, involves perilous climbs to place the coffins, with some breaking during ceremonies adding to the eerie spectacle. Archaeological finds show bones with ritual carvings, suggesting spiritual significance. Visitors to Sagada's cliffs describe the haunting sight of coffins dangling precariously, their weathered wood blending with rock. This ritual, both practical and sacred, transforms death into a vertical journey. In 1809, during the First Serbian Uprising, Ottoman forces built the Cella Kula, or Skull Tower, in Niš, using 952 skulls of Serbian rebels killed in battle. The heads were skinned, stuffed with straw, and cemented into a 15-foot tower as a warning against rebellion. Over time, weather eroded the structure, but 56 skulls remain, embedded in crumbling mortar. Visitors to the now museum site describe the grim sight of eyeless sockets staring out, some with bullet holes. The tower, originally a symbol of oppression, became a Serbian monument to resistance. Excavations around Niš uncovered mass graves, revealing the battle's brutality. The skulls, preserved by lime, evoke a chilling defiance, their silent presence a testament to violence and resilience. This macabre structure, blending horror with history, stands as a stark reminder of death's use in political terror. In Victorian England, some families dressed deceased women in wedding gowns for burial, believing it fulfilled their unrealized marital destinies. Common in the 19th century, especially for young women, this practice involved elaborate ceremonies where the corpse was posed as a bride, complete with veils and flowers. Photographs sometimes captured these scenes, creating eerie images of lifeless figures in bridal attire. The custom, rooted in sentimental views of death, aimed to grant peace to the deceased, but the sight of a corpse adorned for a wedding unnerved mourners. Grave goods like rings or bouquets found in archaeological digs confirm the practice. The tradition faded with changing funeral norms, but it left a haunting legacy of death intertwined with unfulfilled love, where the body became a canvas for grief.